Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. You're probably all wondering, what is Addie going to talk about? And if you know me, if you know what I like to talk about, it's money, specifically budgeting. Some of you know this is a great passion of mine, but by the end of this, I hope that I can encourage you to implement or be more disciplined with your money, but also just to implement a monthly budget in particular. So, I've not always been passionate about money. A few years ago, I was working two different jobs. I had one that was at a daycare, and then another one that was at a financial advising office. And so, basically, how my money spending habits worked was I would get one check, I would get two checks, and the one that was larger, I would throw in my savings, and the one that was smaller, I would put in my checking. And essentially, what that would look like would be to spend at like Target or whatever I wanted. And so I'm really thankful I never had a credit card at this point because I feel like I would be in some serious debt. Because if I was at Target or anywhere and I didn't have any money, like if I swiped my debit card and it didn't go through, I would go to my app on my phone for my bank and I would transfer money from my savings to my checking. But I don't probably none of you know this, but there's actually a law that says you cannot do seven or more online transfers from your saving to your checking. Unfortunately, I found that out the hard way, and I went to go pay for my school one time, and I couldn't because I couldn't do the transfer because I had no money in my checking, and so I had to go to the bank to sort that out. But flash forward to the good old year of 2020, and I was sitting on a Zoom call like this because Andrew Hamilton, as we all know, he said, "Hey, we're doing this Zoom call." I just remember him saying it was about finances or something. And I said, okay. I didn't really want to do it, but it was COVID, like peak lockdown. It was one of those things where you couldn't like say no to anything because you're locked in your house. So I logged on, and I'll say that Zoom call, just like this, literally changed my life. And that might sound very like you're embellishing. That's a little dramatic. It genuinely changed my life when they started talking about budgeting, when they started talking about finances, when they started talking about things that I just had never learned about because I had never been in a finance class and I had never been in any sort of, like, my parents never talked to me about money, none of that. So I will even go as far to say that this course, or this Zoom class rather, changed my family tree. Now, some of you are probably thinking, okay, Addie, I'm an adult. I got this. I understand money. I know how to handle it. That's fair. You probably manage it somewhat better than my 19-year-old self. But there's a few things I just want to go over with you guys. First thing, there is this stat from Business Insider that they reported 47% of American households save nothing. 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 And if that doesn't startle you, I don't know why it doesn't, because 40% of households, to me, that's so shocking. And the Lending Club said that at the end of 2021 last year, 61% of the US population lived paycheck to paycheck. And they also said that 42% of US consumers who were earning more than $100,000 a year were living paycheck to paycheck. So this is not people who are making like 30, 40 grand who are living paycheck to paycheck. These are people who are making solid money and have solid income. Now you might be thinking, well, if I was making 100K, maybe some of you are. You're thinking, I'd be fine. I'd be able to handle my money. But I just don't earn that kind of money. And so let me remind you, first of all, that whatever you make, you are beyond privileged and beyond blessed compared to the average person in the entire world. The worldwide income, 80,000 hours, it's an organization, they said that the average worldwide, like, median income is $1,200. So that's probably what a lot of you get paid in just a single check, single pay period. And so I want to remind you that high income does not necessarily mean a high net worth. And as many of you know, I love Dave Ramsey and I love to follow him. And one of the things he says is that debt is not a behavior problem, or excuse me, debt is not a math problem, it's a behavior problem. And I'll give you an example. There's a girl I know, tell you a quick story. I'll call her Amanda. Amanda worked at a hospital. She was working all these hours. I'm talking like 70 hours a week, crazy amount. So one thing led to another, and we started talking about our finances. This was never, like, we have never talked about our finances before, so I don't even really know how we ended up in this situation. But she started telling me how much she made, how much she was getting each month. But then she told me how much she had in her savings, and it was less than $1,000. And she was probably making close to 80 grand a year, but she had nothing. And so we sat down and we looked at some of her expenses, and I said, or one of the things she said to me as I was like helping her create a budget to knock out some of the debt she had, she goes, well, I need to get my nails done. And I said, not for the next 3 months, you don't, because if you knock this out in 3 months, you're going to have no debt. And I said, well, how much is your debt? And she goes, or excuse me, I said, how much does it take to get your nails done? She goes, $70. And I thought, where in the world is she getting her nails done? And so anyway, I said, well, if you want to knock this debt out, you need to say no to that for a little bit. So it's a behavior thing. It's not a math problem. It was a behavior. And so you're probably laughing, $70? I saw some of you were like, what the heck? Where are you going to get your nails done? But it might be nails for her, getting her nails done, but it could be getting coffee or going out to eat with people or traveling or experiences that you spend your money on. And we live in a world that consumes, and spends. And we live this lifestyle where we have to have all the newest and greatest things. So don't think that that couldn't be you. And if you don't believe me, In Charge Debt Solutions, they said that 26% of people from the ages of 18 to 34, so 22%, reported that they had taken a loan from their retirement account. 26% of this age group, our age group, all of us fall into, 26% overdrew on their checking account. That was me. And then 29% were late with their mortgage payments. And I just want to say it doesn't have to be this way. And that's why I want to talk about and encourage you guys to have a monthly budget, because one of the benefits of having just a simple monthly budget, maybe it doesn't seem simple to you right now, but we'll get there, is it helps you save for expenses and emergencies. Take COVID, for example, 2020. Everyone was locked down. That was an incredible emergency that no one saw coming. And many people freaked out. They didn't have any money in their account. They didn't have any sort of savings. Emergencies will happen. Things will happen. Your car will die. We talked about prior to this Zoom officially starting, I saw someone on the side of the road that their car was literally on fire. I hope they have insurance, but just to say they might need to rent a car for a little bit, and maybe their insurance doesn't cover that. I don't know. It's good to have that set aside. Also, having a monthly budget just helps you minimize expenses. Now, let's say you like to get coffee, right? This girl, Amanda, loves to get her nails done. Now, maybe after she gets out of debt, she could get her nails done. But maybe she doesn't need to spend $70. Or maybe you enjoy getting coffee, like I just mentioned, or you found, oh my gosh, I looked at my bank account and it said I spent $100 on coffee this past month. I'm not saying you can't get coffee, but maybe you just need to spend a little less. Of course, you have to look at your income. It also just decreases financial stress. As I mentioned earlier, I was panicked when I found out that I couldn't pay for school. And the last one that I love is that it just gives you control over your money. Another Dave Ramsey quote that I enjoy is, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. I can't tell you how many times I've gone onto my bank account and thought, not recently, but a while back, and thought, where's my money? When I'm at Target and I want to buy my pretty sweater, I'm like, how do I only have $4 in my bank account? So it just gives you the power. And another way to look at it is to say, you're telling your money where it's going rather than your money telling you where you're going to go. And so I could sit here and I could tell you guys all this stuff, right? Cool, interesting.